You ever notice how life has this funny way of kicking you out of places you thought you'd die in? One day everything feels settled. Same streets, same people, same routine. And then suddenly, it's like something bigger whispers. Pack up. You're done here. No warning, no map, just a feeling. A pull. Like the ground itself is telling you to move before it buries you. You fight it at first. Of course you do. You built your comfort there, your identity, your little illusion of control. But deep down, you know, the place that once felt safe has started to shrink. The air feels heavier, and the silence feels louder. That's when you realize you're being pushed towards something new, something unknown, something that doesn't make sense yet, but it will. Comfort zones collapse when growth calls. It always starts quietly. You don't even notice it at first. Just little cracks in the routine, small moments that don't feel the same anymore. The things that once brought you peace start to feel heavy, almost irritating. The faces around you start to blur. The laughter sounds rehearsed, and the life you built begins to feel too small for you. It's not because you failed. It's because you've outgrown it. But you don't see that yet. You think something's wrong with you. You think you're losing it. But really, it's just life rearranging itself to make room for your next version. Comfort is a dangerous thing. It tricks you into believing that safety means happiness. It keeps you still, quiet, numb. It convinces you that if you just stay where you are, everything will be fine. But deep down, you know it's not. You can feel the walls closing in, the air getting thinner. You can feel that ache inside, that whisper that says, "This isn't it anymore." You try to ignore it, distract yourself, drown it out with noise. But the whisper doesn't stop. It gets louder, sharper, until one day it's not a whisper anymore. It's a command. That's when the collapse begins. The job starts to crumble. The friendships fade. The plans fall apart. And you're left staring at the ruins of the life you thought you wanted. You think it's bad luck, bad timing, bad people. But maybe it's not bad at all. Maybe it's divine interference. Maybe life got tired of waiting for you to move and decided to move you itself. Because when you won't walk out of the comfort zone, it burns it down for you. It hurts, but it's necessary. You were never meant to stay somewhere that doesn't challenge you anymore. Growth doesn't happen in peace. It happens in discomfort, in confusion, in collapse. You see, people think growth is beautiful. It's not. It's ugly. It's violent. It's the death of everything you thought you needed. It's the loss of identities you clung to, the shattering of plans you built your worth around. Growth is chaos disguised as evolution. It takes what you love and makes you question it, takes who you are and forces you to become someone else. But it's not punishment. It's transformation. Because comfort might keep you safe, but it'll also keep you small. You can't hear the call for more when you're surrounded by what's familiar. That's why life shakes it all up. It forces your hand. It breaks the routine that numbed you, the patterns that trapped you, the illusions that lied to you. It doesn't ask if you're ready, it just moves. And you either fight it or you follow it. But here's the thing. Growth doesn't wait for your permission. It doesn't care if you're scared. It only cares if you're willing to listen. At first, you'll mistake the collapse for failure. You'll think you lost control. You'll think you've been abandoned. But it's the opposite. You're being guided, redirected, repositioned. You just can't see the new land yet. The path doesn't appear until you take the first step. That's how it always works. You move first, the map shows up later. It's terrifying, but that's how you know it's real. Growth doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with faith. When comfort collapses, your real self starts to emerge. The part of you that's been waiting for change finally breathes. The mask slips off, the old dreams die, and you start to see yourself for what you really are. Raw, unsure, alive. And even though it hurts, there's something freeing about it. You realize that safety was never the goal. Living was. Feeling was. Becoming was. Most people never make it past this part. They cling to the rubble, try to rebuild the same old life out of the broken pieces. But nothing fits anymore. Because the version of you that built that life doesn't exist now. You've changed, and the world around you must change too. You can't fit new growth into old containers. You can't step into the future with hands still full of the past. The collapse isn't destruction. It's direction. It's the signal that something greater is calling your name. You were never meant to stay comfortable. You were meant to evolve, to move, to break patterns that kept you trapped. The collapse is the invitation, the shove, the push into your next level. It doesn't come with a warning, because if it did, you'd never agree to it. You'd choose comfort over purpose every time. That's why life chooses for you. So when everything starts to fall apart, don't rush to fix it. Let the comfort collapse. Let the walls break. Let the silence stretch. Because what feels like an ending is just the sound of growth cracking through the surface. It's messy, it's painful, it's lonely, but it's real. The collapse isn't there to ruin you. It's there to show you who you've been pretending to be and who you're finally ready to become. The unknown is not punishment. It's direction. People hear the word unknown and immediately panic. They think darkness means danger, silence means rejection, and uncertainty means something's wrong. But what if it's the opposite? What if the unknown isn't there to hurt you, but to guide you? What if every time life takes away what's familiar, it's not a loss, it's a reroute? You see, the unknown doesn't appear to destroy your comfort. It appears to test your faith in what you can't yet see. It's the space between endings and beginnings, where nothing makes sense, but everything matters. Most people fear what they can't predict. They'd rather stay in the wrong place than risk stepping into the dark. They cling to the broken because at least it's familiar. That's the trap. Thinking that clarity is safety. But the truth is, clarity often comes after chaos. You can't see the whole picture while you're still standing in the middle of it. The unknown forces you to move without proof, to trust without evidence. It strips away everything you thought you controlled until the only thing left to rely on is instinct. That deep, quiet voice that says, keep going. The unknown doesn't punish you for what you've done. It prepares you for what's next. It takes the version of you that fit into your old life and starts reshaping it for the new one. That's why it feels uncomfortable, heavy, uncertain. You're being molded. The person you are can't carry the weight of where you're going. So life starts chiseling away everything that doesn't belong anymore. The habits, the attachments, the identities. All of it starts to fall apart. And while you're busy mourning what's gone, the unknown is quietly building what's coming. You think you've been abandoned, but maybe you've just been repositioned. Maybe that silence isn't emptiness. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe the delay isn't denial. Maybe it's alignment. You're so used to the noise of progress that you forget growth happens in quiet. Seeds don't make sound when they break open underground. Caterpillars don't scream when they turn into butterflies. Real change happens in silence, in confusion, in the unknown. That's where transformation hides. The unknown terrifies you because it removes your illusion of control. You can't plan your way out of it. You can't predict how long it will last. And you can't fake confidence through it. You just have to trust. And that's the hardest part. Trusting something that doesn't explain itself. Trusting that there's purpose in every delay, meaning in every detour, direction in every disappointment. It's easier to believe you're being punished than to believe you're being guided. Pain feels more believable than purpose. But sometimes the universe has to take everything away just to prove that you never needed it in the first place. The unknown exposes what you really believe about yourself. When everything familiar disappears, when no plan works, when no one understands, that's when you meet yourself. That's when you find out whether you were driven by faith or fear. And the unknown will keep testing you until you stop trying to control it and start learning from it. It's not there to scare you. It's there to strip you of everything false. It's the space where ego dies and truth begins. You'll notice something strange when you stop fighting the unknown. It starts revealing things to you. Little signs, quiet confirmations, moments of unexpected peace. The kind that make no logical sense, but feel right anyway. That's the unknown speaking in its own language. It doesn't use words, it uses alignment. It uses timing. It uses stillness. It shows you that not every answer needs to come right now. Some things unfold only when you're brave enough to stay. You can't grow while demanding certainty. Certainty is comfort dressed as control. It keeps you stuck in the same cycle, expecting different results. The unknown breaks that. It shatters the illusion that you can plan every part of your life and still feel alive. Because life isn't supposed to be predicted. It's supposed to be lived. And living means walking into places where the light doesn't reach yet. It means trusting that even in the dark, there's direction. Maybe the unknown isn't the void you think it is. Maybe it's just the space where the next version of you is forming. The old you has to dissolve so the new one can take shape. That's why it feels lonely. That's why it feels endless. Because you're in between identities, in between stories, in between what you were and what you're becoming. And that space, that in between, is sacred. It's where you stop pretending and start evolving. So maybe the unknown isn't punishment at all. Maybe it's mercy. Maybe it's the universe saying, "You've stayed too long where you no longer belong." Maybe it's not taking things from you. Maybe it's clearing the path for what's next. The unknown doesn't want to break you. It wants to redirect you. It's not darkness, it's direction. It's not the end. It's the road that leads you there. Detachment is the first step toward destiny. People talk about letting go like it's some peaceful, graceful process. But it's not. It's violent. It's messy. It's waking up one day and realizing the things you once thought you couldn't live without are now the very things keeping you from breathing. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about finally understanding what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's that quiet rebellion inside you that says, "I've carried this long enough." And once that thought hits, everything starts to shift. The people, the habits, the dreams, they all start to fall away, one by one, like leaves that know it's time to let go. You see, destiny doesn't move through clutter. It doesn't walk into crowded rooms filled with fear, doubt, and attachments disguised as comfort. It needs space. And that's why detachment hurts so much. Because you're being stripped of everything that doesn't belong to your future. You don't lose what's meant for you. You lose what's been blocking it. But at first, it doesn't feel like release. It feels like death, like your world is being ripped apart for no reason. You call it chaos. You call it unfair. But it's not destruction. It's direction. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The hardest part of detachment is realizing that sometimes the things you love most are the ones holding you back the hardest. You stay attached because you think love means holding on. But real love, the kind that's pure, doesn't require chains. It doesn't beg or cling or demand. It lets go when it knows it must. Detachment teaches you that love and letting go can exist in the same breath. That you can still care deeply and still walk away when something no longer grows with you. There's a point in life where you stop chasing and start observing. You stop forcing and start flowing. That's detachment. It's not cold. It's not heartless. It's mature. It's the understanding that you don't have to fight for what's already yours, and you don't have to beg for what's not meant to stay. Detachment gives you the freedom to move without desperation. It turns your pain into perspective. You can't reach destiny while being emotionally tied to every outcome. You can't step into purpose while still trying to control every twist and turn of the journey. Destiny requires surrender, and surrender requires detachment. You can't carry your old self into your next chapter. You can't hold on to everyone and everything just because it feels familiar. Growth demands loss. And that's what detachment is. A conscious decision to stop clinging to what's collapsing. Sometimes detachment doesn't happen because you want it to. It happens because life forces it. People drift, situations crumble, dreams shift. And at first, you fight it, you resist it, you break your own heart trying to keep it all together. But eventually, exhaustion teaches you what logic couldn't. Not everything is meant to be saved. Not every connection deserves revival. Not every ending needs fixing. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful act of faith you'll ever commit. When you finally start detaching, everything around you starts to make more sense. You begin to see how much of your life was built on fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of not being enough. Detachment burns all that away. It teaches you to stand without leaning on what's temporary. It's not about shutting people out. It's about not letting them define you. It's about reclaiming the power you gave away, trying to be understood by those who were never meant to understand you. There's peace in detachment, but it comes after the storm. The storm is necessary because it shakes loose all the pieces of you that were stuck in the past. It forces you to confront who you are without the things you were attached to. Without the job, without the relationship, without the identity you built to feel safe. And when you survive that silence, when you realize you're still standing, something changes. You stop needing everything to make sense. You stop trying to control what's next. You just start trusting that if something left, it was meant to. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means clarity. It's not, I don't care. It's, I care differently now. You stop needing to be validated. Stop chasing closure. Stop demanding explanations. You start accepting that sometimes you won't get the answers you wanted, but you'll get the freedom you needed. And that's enough. People will misunderstand your detachment. They'll call it coldness, selfishness, arrogance. But they won't see what it took to get there. How many nights you stayed awake convincing yourself it was okay to let go. How much it hurt to stop fighting for things that once felt like home. Detachment isn't easy. It's survival disguised as strength. And when you finally step back and see your life from a distance, you realize something powerful. Everything that left made space for everything that's coming. The silence isn't empty. It's pregnant with purpose. The absence isn't loss, it's alignment. And for the first time, you start to feel light. You start to feel real. Because destiny doesn't chase the attached. It calls to the free. And the moment you learn to let go, that's the moment it finally finds you. Every ending location hides divine relocation. People think when something ends, it's over. They mourn, they panic, they call it failure. But what if endings aren't really endings? What if they're disguises? Masks life wears to push you somewhere you wouldn't have gone willingly. The truth is, nothing truly ends, it just shifts form. Every place you've ever left, every door that's ever slammed shut, every goodbye that ripped you apart, All of it was redirection in disguise. You weren't being buried. You were being planted. The difference is just perspective. We're addicted to control. We plan, we map, we hold on to routines and people as if they're permanent. And when something slips away, we crumble because we built our identity around staying. But destiny doesn't care about your comfort. It cares about your alignment. And sometimes the only way to align you is to end something you wouldn't have ended yourself. You call it heartbreak, betrayal, loss. But maybe it's divine relocation. Life moving you from one chapter to the next before you self-destruct in the old one. When you're standing in the middle of an ending, everything feels like chaos. The floor drops out from under you. The silence gets louder. You start to ask, why me? But endings aren't punishment. They're permission. Permission to evolve, to move, to stop shrinking just to fit in a story that no longer wants you. You see, endings don't show up uninvited. They're summoned by your growth. The moment your spirit outgrows your environment, life starts rearranging everything around you. That's when jobs collapse, relationships dissolve, and the people you thought were forever start fading into memory. It's not coincidence. It's divine design. The problem is, we confuse endings with rejection. We think something's wrong with us because something didn't last. But some things aren't meant to last. They're meant to launch. Every person who left, every situation that crumbled, played its part in pushing you forward. Some people are bridges, not destinations. You weren't supposed to stay with them. You were supposed to cross through them. And when the bridge collapses, it's because you were never meant to walk back. Divine relocation doesn't always feel divine when you're living it. It feels cruel, unfair, even humiliating. You start from zero again, watching everything you built turn into dust. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the dust is sacred. Maybe it's where creation begins. Because you can't build something new while still clinging to the ruins of what used to be. You can't hold on to the ashes and expect the fire to return. The end of one thing always creates space for another. The universe hates emptiness. It always fills the void, but only after you release what's gone. When something ends, your first instinct is to run back, to fix it, to explain it, to make it make sense. But sometimes closure isn't meant to be found where it was lost. Sometimes closure comes when you stop asking why and start saying thank you. Thank you for the lesson, for the season, for the glimpse of what I needed to learn. That's when relocation starts. Not outside, but inside. You begin to detach from the need to understand and start trusting that you're being moved toward something better, even if it's invisible right now. The divine doesn't relocate you gently. It shakes the ground. It makes you question everything you thought was solid. It strips you down to nothing so that when you arrive in the new place, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you're not carrying the weight of the old one. That's why transitions feel brutal. Because you're being emptied. You're being prepared. You're being reset for what's next. Most people get stuck because they worship what's ending. They keep trying to revive dead things, thinking persistence equals loyalty. But there's no reward in breathing life into something that's meant to rest. Some stories aren't meant to be rewritten. They're meant to be released. Because if you keep feeding what's over, you starve what's coming. Divine relocation only happens when you surrender your grip on the familiar and let life move through you instead of against you. And sometimes it's not even about geography. It's internal. The new land isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a version of you that you haven't met yet. The divine doesn't always move your body. Sometimes it moves your soul. It shifts your mindset, your desires, your identity. It makes you crave different things, seek different company, speak a different language of purpose. The people around you might not understand it. They'll call you distant, detached, strange. But that's only because they're still standing where you used to be. You can't explain divine relocation to someone who's never been called to move. It's not logical. It's not planned. It's an ache in your bones, a pull you can't ignore, a whisper that says, "This isn't home anymore." You feel it in your sleep, in your silence, in the things that used to make you happy, but now just feel heavy. That's how you know the move has already begun. The divine always moves you internally before it does externally. The land changes inside you before it changes around you. So when something ends, don't rush to rebuild where you've been. Pause. Watch. Listen. There's a pattern in the pieces, a message in the ruins. Every ending is a coded invitation, an invisible map that leads you to your next destination. The only requirement is trust. Trust that if something is leaving, something else is leading. Trust that you're not being pushed out. You're being pulled forward. Every ending location hides divine relocation, and every tear you shed is just proof that something greater is already making room. Fear disguises itself as familiarity. It walks quietly, pretending to protect you, whispering that staying where you are is safer than stepping into what's next. It tells you, "You know this place, you've survived here. Why risk something new?" And you listen, because fear doesn't scream. It comforts. It makes you believe that the cage you've built is a castle, that the walls around you are there for your safety, not your surrender. You call it routine, comfort, stability. But it's fear. Fear wearing a mask made of predictability. Familiarity feels warm because it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't ask for more. It doesn't demand growth. It lets you repeat the same day over and over again until it becomes your identity. You stop chasing dreams. Stop asking questions. Stop taking risks. You start confusing stillness with peace when really it's paralysis. You're not calm. You're trapped. And the worst part, you don't even notice anymore. You've gotten so used to smallness that expansion feels dangerous. Fear is clever like that. It doesn't show up as panic or terror. It shows up as reason. It tells you to be practical, to be realistic, to play it safe. It tells you that failure would destroy you, that disappointment would be unbearable. So you shrink your world down to what you can control, what you can predict. You trade purpose for protection, and you call it maturity. But deep down, something starts to die. The part of you that wanted more. The part that still remembers what freedom feels like. Familiarity is a drug. It numbs you just enough to make you forget you're not happy. You convince yourself that this is what life is supposed to be. Predictable, controlled, manageable. You settle for patterns that no longer serve you because they feel like home. You tell yourself that stepping into the unknown is reckless, that people will laugh, that you might fail. But the truth is, the real danger is staying. Because the longer you stay, the quieter your soul becomes. It stops screaming for change. It starts whispering. Then one day, it stops speaking altogether. You tell yourself you're waiting for a sign, for the right moment, for everything to be perfect before you make a move. But fear will always find. Hello, my dear. You ever get that feeling that something's happening behind the scenes? Something you can't quite see yet. It's like the world's been whispering about you when you're not around. You think you're alone, forgotten, maybe even replaced. But somewhere, someone's moving pieces you don't even know exist. Not out of pity, not out of obligation, but because they see you. They see something in you that you stopped seeing in yourself. While you're busy doubting, they're planning. While you're standing still, they're making a bold move for you. Not all battles are fought in front of you. People think life is all about what they can see, what they can touch, what they can control. They believe every fight happens in the open, loud, obvious, dramatic. But the truth is, most of the real wars happen in silence, in whispers, in places you'll never notice until it's already done. While you're busy thinking no one cares, someone somewhere is fighting for you in ways you'll never understand. That's the thing about unseen battles. They're real, they're raw, and they're never recognized. You see, not every act of love looks like affection. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like someone defending your name when you're not there. Sometimes it's someone holding back their anger just to protect your peace. The world only sees what's loud, what's shiny, what's easy to post about. But the quiet battles, the ones fought in the dark, behind closed doors, between conscience and chaos, those are the ones that matter. Those are the ones that change things. There's a kind of person who won't let you fall, even if you think you already have. They don't do it for attention. They don't announce it. They just act. They step in where you can't. They protect what you can't see, fix what you don't know is broken, and carry what you're too tired to lift. You'll never see the scars they earn doing it. You'll never hear the arguments they've silenced or the sacrifices they've made. Because the point was never to be seen. The point was to keep you standing. It's strange, isn't it? We live in a world obsessed with visibility. Everyone wants credit, validation, applause. But the ones who fight your hidden battles don't care about that. They don't need to be thanked. Their reward is in knowing you're okay, even if you never know why. That kind of strength, that quiet courage, it's rare. It's not the kind that shouts. It's the kind that bleeds silently, smiles anyway, and walks away before anyone can notice. Sometimes you think no one's on your side because no one's saying it out loud. But the truth is, words are cheap. The real ones don't talk. They act. They make decisions you'll never hear about. They stand between you and the storm while pretending they're not even there. You might think they've left you, but really, they're just making sure the fire doesn't reach you. That's what real loyalty looks like. Unseen, unspoken, unstoppable. The funny thing is, you'll probably never know who all those people are. Maybe it's someone you underestimated. Maybe it's someone you forgot. Maybe it's someone who can't even tell you what they're doing. That's the beauty and the tragedy of it. You only realize how much they did when it's too late. When the noise quiets down and you start to connect the dots. You start to see the little moments. The times you were spared from something. The times things worked out just in time. And you wonder, was that luck? Or was someone quietly fighting for me? You might think you're alone in your war, but you're not. There are people who care in ways they can't show. People who see your pain, even when you hide it behind jokes and forced smiles. They might not say much, but their silence isn't ignorance. It's strategy. They're watching, waiting, choosing their moment to act. Because real defenders don't need an audience. They move when it matters most. The world doesn't celebrate these kinds of battles. It doesn't reward unseen effort. But those quiet wars, the ones fought in shadows, in patience, in restraint, they're the foundation of everything that survives. Every strong person you've ever met was built on the sacrifices of someone who refused to let them fall. Every bit of peace you've ever felt was bought by someone else's storm. You don't see it, but it's there, right beneath the surface of everything good that's ever happened to you. Maybe the world would be different if people valued invisible strength as much as visible success. If they understood that some of the most powerful things ever done for them were done without their knowledge. Because sometimes the real heroes aren't the ones standing in the light. They're the ones making sure the light stays on while everyone else sleeps. They're the ones fighting battles no one will ever thank them for. Not all battles are loud. Not all battles are visible. But every unseen battle leaves a mark. Not on the world, but on the soul. Someone, somewhere, is fighting for you right now. Not for recognition, not for glory, but because they believe you're worth it. And even if you never find out who they are, you've already felt the effect of what they've done. That's the truth most people never see. Not all battles are fought in front of you. Some are fought for you, in silence. Someone believes in you when you don't. It sounds simple, but it's not. Because when you're at your lowest, when everything inside you is cracked, the last thing you can do is believe in yourself. You start to see failure in every reflection, doubt in every breath. You convince yourself that you're done, that whatever strength you had is gone for good, and yet out there, in a corner you don't notice, someone sees something else. They see the version of you that you've forgotten. The one that still fights, still hopes, still burns beneath the ashes. You see, belief isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with cheering or encouragement. Sometimes it's silent, patient, almost invisible. It's in the person who keeps checking on you, even when you push them away. It's in the eyes of someone who looks at you like you're more than the mistakes you've made. It's in the quiet voice that says, "You'll get through this," even when you don't answer. They don't see you for who you are in the moment. Broken, tired, lost. They see who you could be if you just kept going. The world is full of people waiting to doubt you. They're loud. They're everywhere. They feed off your uncertainty. But then there are the rare few, the ones who choose to believe. Not because of what you've shown them, but because of what they feel about you. They can sense that under all the disappointment, there's something unshakable. Something that just needs a spark to come back to life. Those people, they don't need proof. They just need you to breathe. When you've given up on yourself, their belief feels uncomfortable. It feels wrong, even insulting. Because how can they see light in you when all you feel is darkness? How can they talk about hope when you've already buried yours? That's what belief does. It annoys you before it saves you. It challenges the version of yourself that wants to stay broken. It refuses to accept your excuses, your hopelessness, your surrender. It keeps showing up, reminding you of a strength you swore was gone. There's something powerful about being seen through someone else's eyes. You start to borrow their vision, even when you don't want to. Their faith starts to echo inside your head until slowly, quietly, you begin to wonder, maybe they're right. Maybe you're not finished. Maybe you've just forgotten how strong you were. And that small thought, that tiny flicker of belief, is enough to start everything again. It's fragile at first, almost ridiculous, but it grows. Because belief spreads like fire. It doesn't need much to start, just someone willing to strike the match. Sometimes that person is a stranger. Sometimes it's someone you lost touch with. Sometimes it's someone you pushed away because you couldn't stand being seen when you felt unworthy. But they keep believing anyway. They see the cracks in your armor and call it character. They see your past and still talk about your future. That's what makes them dangerous to your despair. They don't play by its rules. They refuse to see the end where you do. And maybe you'll never understand why. Why someone chooses to believe in you when you've done nothing to earn it. Why they keep showing up when you keep failing. Maybe it's not about you at all. Maybe they've been where you are. Maybe they've tasted that same hopelessness and know what it feels like to be unseen. Maybe they remember the one person who believed in them when they didn't, and now it's their turn to return the favor. That's the beautiful cycle of belief. It never starts or ends with one person. It passes on, one broken soul to another. It's funny how you can stop believing in yourself and still be carried forward by someone else's faith. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to let it hold you up for a while. Because belief isn't about perfection. It's about possibility. It's about someone looking at your mess and saying, "That's not the end." And when you've heard that enough, when it's been repeated in enough small, quiet ways, you start to whisper it to yourself. You start to rebuild. The truth is, you'll never know the full impact of someone's belief until you look back and realize it saved you. It's the kind of thing that works in silence, unnoticed, until suddenly you're standing again, breathing again, feeling something again. And then it hits you. You didn't get up on your own. Someone believed in you when you didn't. Someone saw light when you only saw darkness. Someone refused to let you end your story before it was time. And that's why belief matters. Because sometimes it's the only bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. Hidden loyalty exists in silence. That's the kind of loyalty the world doesn't talk about anymore. People today like to make noise about everything. Love, friendship, support. They post it, perform it, package it like it's something to sell. But the real ones, they don't say a word. They don't need to. They're the ones who stand behind you when no one's watching, who protect your name when you're not around to defend it. They don't announce their loyalty because it's not a show, it's a choice. A quiet, dangerous kind of devotion that doesn't ask for recognition, only truth. You see, silence has weight. It's heavy with intent. The ones who are loyal in silence, they don't need credit or gratitude. They don't care if you never find out what they did for you. They do it because something in them won't let them do anything else. Because even when you don't deserve it, even when you've disappointed them, even when you've changed, they stay loyal to the version of you they still believe exists somewhere deep down. That's the kind of loyalty you can't buy, can't beg for, can't fake. Most people think loyalty means being loud, defending someone in public, showing affection, making promises. But real loyalty doesn't make noise. It's not about grand gestures. It's about quiet consistency. It's about the person who doesn't join in when others talk behind your back. It's about the one who remembers your pain, even after you've stopped mentioning it. It's about the one who chooses to understand you instead of judge you, even when you're hard to love. Hidden loyalty is dangerous because it's pure. It doesn't depend on rewards or outcomes. It's loyalty born out of connection, not convenience. And that kind of connection doesn't die easily. You could walk away. You could fail. You could fall apart. And still, there's someone who keeps you safe in ways you'll never see. Someone who guards your name, your story, your memory, as if it's their own. You might think you've lost everyone, that no one's standing by you anymore. But sometimes loyalty hides in the shadows, watching, waiting. It doesn't always show itself when you want it to. It works quietly, protecting you from things you'll never know about. People who have this kind of loyalty. They fight your unseen battles. They take hits you'll never feel. And they do it without a sound. That's not weakness. That's strength disguised as restraint. It's strange how we value words more than silence. Someone says, "I've got your back," and we believe them. But words are cheap. Anyone can promise loyalty when times are good. Real loyalty shows itself when everything's falling apart. When there's nothing left to gain. When staying costs more than leaving. The ones who stay quiet during those moments, the ones who still protect you without needing to be seen, they're the ones who mean it. The silent ones, they don't need to announce their loyalty because they've already proven it through action. They're not doing it to impress you or win your approval. They're doing it because loyalty isn't about you. It's about who they are. It's built into them. That rare instinct to protect what they care about, even if it hurts, even if it costs them something. Sometimes you'll only notice their loyalty when it's gone. When you start to wonder why things feel colder, heavier, quieter. That's when you realize how much someone's silence had been shielding you all along. How many storms you never saw because they were standing in the way, taking the hits. And when you finally see it, it breaks something in you. Because you understand that loyalty like that doesn't come twice. The world has forgotten the value of silent loyalty. Everyone wants credit, applause, proof. But the truth is, the most loyal people are invisible by choice. They don't need the world to know. They just need you to be okay. They care more about your peace than their pride. They'd rather keep you safe than be praised for it. That's why you never see them coming. Because they're not performing, they're protecting. And maybe one day, you'll understand the power of that kind of loyalty. The way it doesn't demand attention, the way it doesn't shout or plead. It just stays, quietly, steadily, through distance, through doubt, through time. It's the kind of loyalty that doesn't fade when you fail, that doesn't disappear when you disappoint. It stays hidden, but it's always there. In the silence, in the spaces between words, in the moments you thought no one cared. Hidden loyalty doesn't need to be seen to be real. It doesn't need validation to exist. It lives in the quiet choices people make when no one's watching. It's not loud, not dramatic, not poetic. It's simple. Someone somewhere still choosing to stand for you, not because you asked, but because they decided you were worth it. Support often moves in shadows, not spotlight. People think support means standing next to you, cheering you on, making noise so everyone knows they care. But real support, the kind that actually matters, rarely looks like that. It hides. It moves quietly, behind the curtains, unseen and unappreciated. It's not about being noticed. It's about making sure you don't fall when the world stops watching. Because the truth is, not everyone who claps for you wants you to win, and not everyone who stays silent is ignoring you. Some are just busy holding up the ground beneath your feet. You see, the loud kind of support. It's easy. It's performative. It looks good, sounds good, makes everyone feel good. but the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't come with applause or validation. That's the one that keeps you alive when everything else crumbles. That's the one that listens when you can't speak, that helps without asking, that protects your name when others are tearing it apart. That kind of support doesn't announce itself because it doesn't need to. It's not there for recognition. It's there because someone cares. Sometimes you'll never know how many people have helped you in ways you'll never see. The friend who spoke well of you in a room you weren't invited to. The one who kept believing in your potential when you stopped showing it. The one who prayed for you when you didn't even believe in anything anymore. That's the shadow work of support. Invisible, thankless, but powerful. It's not about presence, it's about impact. And it's usually done by the people who expect nothing back. Support in shadows doesn't mean absence. It means protection. It means someone is watching over you from a distance, making sure the wrong hands don't touch what's meant for you. It means someone sees the war you're fighting in silence and decides to fight beside you. Quietly, without a banner, without a speech. That's why you'll miss it if you're only looking for the loud kind. You'll think no one's there, when in reality, someone's been covering you the whole time. There's something sacred about that kind of support, because it doesn't crave the spotlight. It doesn't compete for credit. It doesn't need to be seen. It's pure intention. It's built on care, not ego. It's the person who remembers your worth when you forget it, who defends you when you can't defend yourself, who forgives your distance because they understand your silence. They don't ask you to perform strength. They let you fall apart and still hold space for you. And that's the thing about shadows. They move quietly, but they're always there. You may not notice them, but they follow you, protect you, shape you. The loud ones might come and go, but the shadows stay. They see your worst moments and still choose to stay behind you, carrying pieces of your burden without telling you. That's not weakness. That's loyalty in its rawest form. The world teaches you to look for validation in attention. If no one's shouting for you, it must mean no one cares. But that's a lie. The truest forms of care are the ones that stay silent because they don't want to interrupt your process. They don't need to take up space to be real. They just want you to get through the storm, even if it means getting no recognition for standing in the rain with you. The ones who support you in shadows are the ones who see beyond appearances. They don't care about your victories as much as they care about your survival. They're not interested in taking credit when you rise. They're just happy knowing you made it. And maybe you'll never know what they did for you. Maybe you'll never see the battles they fought behind the scenes. But they didn't do it for thanks. They did it because something in them refused to watch you fall without trying to help. There's a strange beauty in that. People who love you quietly, who stand for you without demanding attention. It's selfless, almost tragic in its simplicity, because while the world celebrates the loud supporters, These quiet ones stay hidden, forgotten, unacknowledged. But that doesn't stop them. They don't measure their worth by your awareness. They just keep giving, protecting, showing up in ways you might never see. And maybe that's how real support is supposed to be. Unseen, unspoken, but unbreakable. It's not the crowd chanting your name. It's the whisper that tells you to keep going when no one else does. It's the person who checks on you after the noise dies down, who still sees you when everyone else has moved on. That's support in its truest form. Not performed for the spotlight, but lived in the shadows, where it matters most. Every ending hides a new beginning. People hate endings. They treat them like death, like loss, like something that steals the meaning out of everything that came before. But the truth is, endings don't destroy you. They reveal what's left after everything fake has fallen away. The job that fired you, the person who walked away, the plan that failed. They all felt like the end, didn't they? Like the curtain closing on the only story you knew. But the thing about curtains, they don't close forever. Sometimes, they're just hiding the next scene being built in the dark. You see, endings have a way of stripping you down to nothing. They take away your comfort, your rhythm, your illusion of control. They leave you standing in the wreckage, staring at what's left, and that's when you finally see the truth. That maybe it needed to end. Maybe it was never meant to last. Maybe you were holding onto something that was quietly killing the parts of you that were meant to grow. Because sometimes, the thing you thought would save you was the very thing holding you back. Everyone wants new beginnings, but no one wants the destruction that comes before them. You can't build something real without burning something old. That's the cruel, beautiful balance of life. Creation and collapse, beginning and ending, joy and pain, all dancing together like they've rehearsed it 1,000 times. The world doesn't ask if you're ready. It just takes what's no longer meant for you, and you call it loss. But maybe it's just clearing space. Maybe the universe can't hand you something new while your hands are still gripping what's already gone. Endings feel cruel because they don't ask for permission. They just happen. One day everything makes sense, and the next it doesn't. People leave, doors close, the music stops, and you're left wondering what went wrong. But maybe nothing went wrong. Maybe it's just the way life moves. Always forward, never still. Maybe the ending isn't punishment, but redirection. Maybe it's the world whispering, "You've outgrown this." There's something raw about the moment after an ending. It's quiet, almost too quiet. No noise, no purpose, just silence and space. And in that emptiness, most people panic. They rush to fill it with something. Anyone, anything. Just to feel alive again. But the brave ones, the ones who truly rise, they stay in that silence. They sit with it. They let the ashes settle before they start building again. Because they understand something most people won't. That the end isn't a wall, it's a door disguised as one. Every time something ends, it takes a piece of you with it. And that's the point. The version of you that fit into that story doesn't belong in the next one. You have to lose parts of yourself to make room for what's coming. It's painful, but necessary. Growth always demands a sacrifice. You can't move forward while dragging your past behind you like a corpse. You have to let it die. The comfort, the familiarity, even the identity that came with it. Because who you were then isn't who you need to be now. Endings also expose people. You see who truly cared and who was just passing time. When the lights go out, the actors leave. But the real ones, the ones who were there for you, they stay. They don't need the performance to keep showing up. And maybe that's another gift of endings. They filter out the noise, the temporary, the hollow. They leave behind only what's real. It's strange how something that feels like loss can be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because one day, when you've walked far enough past the pain, you'll look back and realize that what ended wasn't your story. It was just a chapter. The book was never done. You were just stuck rereading the same page, afraid to turn it. And when life finally ripped it out of your hands, it hurt, but it set you free. That's what endings do. They force you to start again, to rebuild, to remember what it means to begin. They don't destroy your story, they reset it. They give you a chance to create something cleaner, truer, something that actually fits the person you've become. And it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to break you just enough to make you question everything, but not enough to kill your spark. Because that's where the new beginning hides. In the ruins, in the quiet after the collapse. In the moment you finally stop fighting what's gone and start noticing what's still here. You might not recognize the new beginning at first. It never arrives with confetti or fireworks. It slips in quietly, disguised as ordinary days, small moments, second chances. It starts with a breath that doesn't hurt as much as it used to. A smile that feels less forced. A morning where you wake up and realize you're not thinking about what ended. You're thinking about what's next. That's the start. That's the hidden magic of every ending. It doesn't close your story. It clears the page so you can finally write the next one.